Hello and welcome back to Travel-Preneur, the show that dives into the dynamic world of travel business. I'm your host, Megan McSwain, and today we are thrilled to be joined by John Boulding, CMO of VOX Group. Hello, John. Welcome to the show.
Hi, Megan, and hi, everyone. Thanks for having me.
John's vast experience in the travel industry and his role in shaping VOX Group's innovative journey make him a wonderful person to discuss the intersection of technology and tourism. John, VOX Group has been a pioneer in audio-guided tour technology. Can you tell us about the journey from radio-based systems to now app-based solutions?
Yeah, sure. So Vox history really began back in 2001 when the founder, a guy called Elio Artifani, realized that there was a real opportunity to take some technology that had been used in factories, mainly for factory visits, that sort of thing, which was audio guiding radio devices, and put them into tourism. And we kicked it off, really. That was the first that this happened on a global scale. And Vox very, very quickly grew, and we work across tourism and arts and culture and are very successful in this area. We've got offices all over the world. But what started to happen back in the period of about 10 years ago, 12 years ago, really initially, I guess, was that we realized there was a big demand for guiding, also not just group guiding, but also from individuals that were looking to get themselves around. And of course, this is pre-iPhone and smartphones and so on. So the business started to look at how we could take these group audio devices and by putting in chips and memory and so on inside them, turn them into devices that individuals could use that could be programmed to relay arts and culture, information, commentary, initially in venues. The biggest of all was St. Peter's Basilica in Rome, where we operated the entire tourism program there. So that was pretty big. And it took off really, really fast. As we saw this need for independent guiding, we realized that as smartphones came along, if there was something that we could do there, then that was going to be the real solution. And so that's how we started progressing it. And our first smartphone app was an app called Pop Guide that came out around about 9 years ago, I guess now, and started to become very, very popular. And we turned it from being just a venue guiding tool into using mapping sources and so on. And we were able to GPS tagging, turn it into a device that could actually, an app that could actually help you guide yourself around a city as well as a venue. And that's where it really came from. So we've seen a lot of changes along the way, Mega, of course. Some pretty big.
Just hearing you say before iPhones and before smartphones, God, that sounds like forever ago. I mean, it's hard to even remember a time without them. And you guys have experienced so much. I mean, technology, it's just changing so fast. How has VOX Group's approach to technology development innovation kept pace with the changing needs of the consumer?
Yeah, one of the things that we've always done is to be an innovator. You know, we've always gone against trends and tried to look at what the next opportunity is. And we've done that through, customer research and understanding what's happened, what's going on in the market. But actually, I have to say, the pandemic was the really big drop dead moment when things changed on a quantum scale. I think we all understand that, the digital age arrived. And it arrived because people were forced into lockdown and there was nothing else to do other than use technology to communicate with people. One of the things, Mega, we used to hear from many business partners that we worked with, because we are largely a B2B business. We do have a B2C product as well, called VOX City, which is marketed through OTAs and so on. But we're essentially a B2B company. And one of the things that we used to hear from tour operators and other business partners was, no, look, this type of technology is not going to work for me because our customers are too old. They don't use smartphones, and they're over 50 and they don't use smartphones. And of course, the pandemic just transformed that situation. And we've seen a seismic shift. Gone are the days when grandparents couldn't use a smartphone. Today, they're using smartphone technology for everything they do. It was a catalyst. And of course, because it was the pandemic, we ourselves were not busy on the tourism front. So our entire energy, the entire company focus turned to evolving ready for what we saw as the recovery that was inevitable. In my career, I've been through every type of disaster from 9/11, of course, but going much further back to the days of the Achille Lauro and Chernobyl and what I've seen every
Wow.
disaster, and it always comes out. We always come out of them, and
Sure.
so Vox took that step to say what lies ahead. We know this is going to be different. We know it's going to be about independent travelers, and we know that we need to develop our technology, and that's what we focused on. So it was really an amazing period. We evolved our technology for what is now a digitally empowered clientele, if you like, and we came out steaming. Our business coming out of the pandemic in 2022 was up 265% on
Wow.
2019. And if you consider 2019 was the biggest year in tourism ever, that's pretty good going. I think globally you're seeing this change. Reports that you see out there in the market from various strong sources like the World Tourism Organization or big companies, we've seen a 30% increase in travel app downloads generally, some 2.3 billion downloads globally a year. There's been a surge of 45% in that across the market, and we're 265% up. So pretty interesting, and
Yeah, that
really,
is. It's
really
excellent.
important. Yeah.
Vox Group's multilingual audio content is a key offering.
Yeah.
What's the process behind developing these engaging and culturally rich audio tours? It must be kind of
Yeah,
intensive.
it is. There's a lot goes into it, and we have
Mhm.
different tiers of content creation. We're a very big content producer. I mean, that's
Right.
absolutely right. We're technology on one side, we're content on another side, and we're a distribution system as well, where logistics is a very big part. But basically, there are several key areas. One is expert management, veteran editors, fact checkers, project managers, that sort of thing, that are driving the way that we work with our content. If we get into the cultural side, which is museums, institutions, galleries, the sort of culture area of culture, we have a whole division that specializes in that, and they work with curators and so on to meticulously and rigorously curate the copy that is built specifically for that purpose. On the tourism side, it's a higher volume area, and it can be, for example, about facts of points of interest in a city. London has got, for us, we have like hundreds and hundreds of points of interest in multiple languages. And so that then has to be seamlessly integrated into our CMS system and our apps to ensure a frictionless and a sort of engaging end user journey, if you like. And then the mastery of managing the language is a truly big thing.
Sure.
You've got to
Right.
be sensitively attuned to the varied cultural landscapes of a global audience. You can imagine
Right.
someone from India has different priorities and interests than a local domestic audience in London. Let's say if they were
Sure.
both in London, there would be different, and then kids and have a different
Right.
narrative. And it comes down to voice timbre, to musical ambience, to the nuances of demographics that enhance their we've got to enhance their explorative experience, I guess.
Yeah,
And then there's
definitely.
cost effectiveness and so on has to be built in. And of course, you're dealing with studios, artists, editors, all sorts of things. So it's a pretty big operation. But there is another strand which we can touch on as well. We've covered the high end cultural
Hmm.
arts and culture type of multilingual copy and stories. And then we have the tourism side, if I may just throw it in, and it's on everybody's lips at the moment, of course, is AI. That is another strand that we have developed now. And it's not surpassing the other strands, it's just different. It allows us a much higher volume and flexibility in the way that we create voice. So we've got three strands, if you like, three layers of what we can do.
I was thinking that when you were saying all of the factors that go into this content creation is how AI must be sort of maybe benefiting this process, maybe not, maybe, it's, I guess
Yeah.
we'll find out. It's still
Yeah,
evolving.
it's very much down to what the partner that we're working with needs. AI is really good now. I mean, I have to say, on the voice side and on the
Mm.
story making side, it's amazing. But it's not as simple as you think. I'll give you a good example, right? So if you take, maybe there's a bus company, like a little bus company, who wants to create some audio content for their tours of a small town somewhere, let's say a small town. So They could use AI and do it themselves, let's say. And in fact, that might be what they first think, well, we can do it ourselves now. But it's not that easy. First of all, you've got to choose the right technology. Then you've got to know that, you've got to understand all those cultural differences and nuances that go into production, because you've got to manage it. You've got to choose your voice. You've got to choose the way that that is worked into whatever need that you have. And then you've got to find the way of actually transporting what you've created into the technology that can deliver it to the customer, into the app or into the recording system, or whatever it is. So it's actually a huge management job. And that's the thing, you see, small companies can't dedicate the teams to do that, to actually train them on it, to take the time to train them for what might only be a one-off production. So they don't have the resources to allocate to do that, nor the technical skills or the artistic skills to understand how to do this effectively. And that's where we come in, because AI through us is not just recording the voice, it's the whole package of putting the whole lot together and delivering it as a seamless product that goes through to the end user, who sits there and enjoys an amazing experience as they tour around a city or a venue or whatever it might be.
Right. So you're able to use it, but it still requires a lot of management. There's a lot that goes on the back end. Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah. We tried various other routes. We said, well, let's link Chat GPT with automated voice through Chat GPT again. Try that, But the stuff that comes out is just volume. It's not properly managed, and then it doesn't flow through to the system of delivery. So it's a big process, and we take care of it all. So it's with us very effective. It's another great strand to add to the portfolio of products that we can offer.
John, your expertise in branding and change management has been instrumental in VOX Group's success. How did you navigate the recent corporate rebranding, and what were some of the key strategies?
Yeah, I had been for many years. For 20 years, I was the CEO of a major global tour operator and had been in CEO roles in all sorts of companies, including my own. I had my own business. So I've been around a lot. And I was, if you like, on the legacy side of tourism. It was coach touring and that sort of thing, and ground handling and so on, very much dealing with the physical side and people on the ground and so on. So coming across to VOX was a really interesting step for me, because I was going into a company that's a technology company. And the business is very young, run by very young people. The CEO is a very young guy, an amazing guy, very, very clever man. And the whole team, the technology team, very young, actually. And what we found was this synergy between us. I had the experience and the knowledge of running a business and expanding a tour operation, and they have all the technical skills. Bringing the two together was a perfect match. Actually, I've learned huge amounts about technology. I speak on technology when I do conferences and that sort of thing. And when I came into the business, I could see straight away that what VOX had been brilliant at was a service business and a technology, but they hadn't actually turned it around fully into becoming an effective tour operation, because that's what we're doing. Okay, it's a B2B. We're delivering for tour operators, for venues, for tourism partners or arts and culture partners. But I was able to help bridge that gap. And that was the first thing, was knowing that we had to be ahead of the game in technology. And you see it all the time. Companies will come up with great ideas and they'll float them around, and they haven't got an end goal to actually get them to market in a certain way at a certain time, unless it's financially led. And that's with VOX, that's what we started to do, was to change the way we thought about putting these new products to market, timing the moment of delivery of new stages of technology, and timing it for when the market needed it, and being able to go to market and talk about it at the right time and become the thought leader. Let our customers understand that we really know what we're talking about and how we can help them change their business to help their clients feel captivated and educated and inspired. That's what happened. And so doing all of that and then bringing the brands together, I've done a lot of branding in the past, and bringing the brand of VOX together into three clear channels. As I said, we have our arts and culture, which is a brand called Sycamore, based out of Paris. We have VOX, which is core tourism, guiding and apps, and for both groups and individuals. And then we have VOX City, which is our B2C brand. So it was getting those lined up under what was a new brand, which was VOX Group, was how we did it. A big change, but it's really helped us in conveying our message to our customers and ultimately to the end user.
This episode is brought to you by Travel-Payments.com. Travel businesses have unique needs when it comes to credit card processing. From large average ticket sizes and tolerance for higher chargeback ratios to simple integrations with the most popular shopping cart systems, the travel industry specialists at Travel-Payments.com have you covered. Unfortunately, many of the most popular credit card processors initially accept travel businesses, but without warning, freeze their merchant accounts and the thousands of dollars in them because these service providers don't understand or support the unique needs of travel industry business. Don't get stuck with one of the big guys who will freeze you out without a moment's notice. Instead, work with the travel industry specialists who will support your business every step of the way. Visit Travel-Payments.com to get a free quote today. What trends do you see shaping the future of travel and tourism industry, particularly in the area of technology?
Yeah, I think the smartphone's here to stay. I saw something I think on TikTok the other day where someone's come up with a new device for tourism, which is a device with a swiveling camera, and it's very simple. It's a little square, and you can point it at things. And they were saying that this is what will take over. I don't think it will. I think smartphones are going to just adopt that technology as well, and will become ever more powerful. But that is where it's at. What we've got to do in our business is make sure that we're not trying to move people away from something that they are growing with, and that is really key. So it's a hand-in-hand thing. I think the big smartphone companies, whether it's Samsung or Apple or whoever, will adopt some of the technology that we're using. You should never be afraid of selling what you're good at, because nobody can be everything. I know in some parts of the world, in Asia particularly in China, of course, they have the super apps because people can't choose from the variety of other technologies that are out there, so the super app has to be the way to do it. And that's a question I often get asked, will the super app take over from VOX, or does VOX need to be a super app? And I don't think we do. I really don't. We just got to be very, very good at what we do, and we will lead in that field. There's a saying that if you're not the lead dog, the view never changes. And I love that one. That's something that really stands out for me. We've got to lead. We will always be leading because we're not looking back. We're not worrying about what's happening behind. We're just going forward. And if other people adopt our technology, hey, that's great. That means we had great technology.
Sure. Yeah. As a leader in this industry, what advice would you give to individuals aspiring to start their own business in the travel and technology sector?
There's a lot of people starting with apps. It's pretty easy to create an app these days, but you've got to really know who it is you're targeting and why you're targeting them. You've got to understand the end user. And I think that, again, is such a big strength in VOX. We've been around a long time for a technology company since, as I said, 2001. And we have a very, very big core business sitting underneath all the app stuff, which is our radio guides business. We have digital radio guides these days. Those two are the latest technology. It's all very clever technology for group guiding. But we have very, very big partners in tourism right across the world. We've got 5,500 business partners. We've got 55 offices around the world. We're handling millions of people, 30 million tourists a year through VOX in one way or another, whether it's apps or whether it's guiding equipment and so on. So we know a lot about the business. And the barrier to entry is not so much about can you create an app, it's can you distribute it? Can you get to the customer? So if you're going to start out, you better think very carefully and very cleverly about how you distribute and the real story that you have. How will it make things better for the end users?
How does it benefit someone? Does it make sense for that person, for the customer?
Yes, exactly. Exactly. And make sure you bring in the right people too. I think experience, as has happened at VOX, this combining of real life experience and technological experience and the creativity is what's making a success of it all.
What future plans does VOX Group have, if you can share any? How do you envision continuing to innovate and lead in this space as fast as everything is changing these days?
One of the real things we're doing now is growing our internal team. It was a very entrepreneurial business from the very beginning and will always remain so. It's a company that leads from the top and has had a very good team of senior managers at the C-suite level and below, the layers below as well, and a good core team. But what we're doing now is growing our team and growing our skill sets. So we've just appointed a new commercial director to drive the global sales side. We've appointed new HR. We've appointed new people on the digital side of marketing, which wasn't the case previously, so that we can better manage our social media, better manage our CRM system. It's putting all the people in place.
Right.
On the global scale, what we're also doing is winding in many of the agency relationships that we've had around the world and putting our own offices around the world. We've just opened, well, actually 2 years ago, opened up VOX Japan, for example, and that business is growing very, very fast. We've just opened up an Australian business, whereas before we had agents. So we're controlling our own destiny by growing our physical footprint, our team footprint, and the right skills, Megan. That's
Right.
really.
And the people who make up the business is just, if not more important, as the actual business itself, like the product itself.
Totally, yeah. We are a business as well that one of the other things that we're all reading about, of course, is the working from home or working in the office question.
Remote.
We have gone back to office working, although because we've got a very global team, we're constantly video conferencing and so on. It's
Right.
still a very big part of what we do. We've just got a little more flexibility in our approach to the way that we meet with our teams, and I think we've just become much more effective. Lessons learned again in the pandemic are holding good, but we are a business that is about people, about getting together and solving things through round a table, where we can.
Well, John, thank you so much for sharing your insights and experience with us. This has been so interesting to hear about. Your contributions to VOX Group and the travel industry as a whole are truly inspiring. Let our listeners know where they can learn more about VOX Group and where they can connect with you.
Yeah, sure. So they can connect with us, of course, through our website. That's an obvious one, which is voxgroupglobal.com. And there you'll find the sub brands clickable, tappable from there to take you to different brands, the arts and culture, the tourism, and of course the B2C side of VOX City. So that's a simple way. We're very big on LinkedIn. We do a lot on LinkedIn. It really works for us because we're largely B2B. And I think that's another place we can chat. You can find me there, of course, under VOX Group. It's all VOX Group on LinkedIn. So
Sure.
You can find us.
Great. Wonderful. Well, thank you so much. To our listeners, please don't forget to follow and subscribe for more insightful conversations on Travel-Preneur. Until next time.